Hey, today on Gun Talk Nation, KJ is sitting in the host seat for me. I'm on the road, but he's talking with Graham Rockwell with Ruger, and they're going to talk about growing up around guns. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Ballistic Advantage, ATN, the future of optics, Franklin Armory, Remington Ammunition, trusted by law enforcement, available to you, and by Silencer Central, silence delivered.
Welcome in Gun Talk Nation. I am your sub-in host. Mr. Ryan Gresham is on the road, headed to Houston and the NRA show. So if you're around, make sure you find him because he will love to say hi. But my guest today comes to us from all the way up in New Hampshire.
Newport, New Hampshire.
Newport. Well, you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, who's he got on? This is Graham Rockwell joining us from Ruger. How you doing, man?
Good, yourself? Thanks for having me down here.
I cannot believe it, but this is your first podcast.
I would say so. I haven't had to do this before.
Is it a little bit odd for you? A little bit intimidating?
No, this is great. I love working with you guys, and we get to talk guns and Ruger products, so
no,
I'm ready for it.
This is an easy format. Now, I don't want to even say that Ryan does his podcast different because I get to jump in here and I kind of get to control how I get to do things. But I like telling stories. I like telling stories on myself and hear your stories. And kind of what we're going to talk about today is just growing up guns and not having grown up guns, because there are two ends of the spectrum there. You either did or you really didn't.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So how was it for you? So when growing up, were you what was your household like when it comes to guns?
Yeah, and just to help people out so they know where the story is going.
Yeah.
I'm currently the product manager for Ruger up in Newport, so a fairly gun-intensive occupation that I've chosen.
I would say so.
And I would say that it started actually at a young age. While it might not have been a super gun household, I'd say what got me into shooting was definitely Boy Scouts.
Okay.
So I went all the way through doing the Eagle Scout thing, but one of the favorite memories I had from scouting was going to Boy Scout camp, and that's where I shot. Obviously, they started us on 22
crickets or something.
22
like
rifles.
That, yeah.
It might have been a Winchester. I can't remember specifically, but my favorite part was getting to shoot clays for the first time.
Oh,
and I'm pretty sure they started us like I like to start people shooting was on a 12 gauge shotgun, and I must have been.
That's how you start people.
That's how I like to teach people how to shoot with a 12 gauge, and that's how I was taught.
But you said starting out someone with a 12 gauge, I think is kind of shocking. It's alarming.
I think if you prep them for it, they understand what to expect. They understand what to expect, and everything's easier after that.
Yeah.
Because if you try to tell them this is going to be, this is a 20 or 28, and this is going to be light and easy, they're not going to take it.
That's fair.
As seriously sometimes.
I completely see that, because I remember specifically the time that my dad, this was my first gun, so he gave me this 410 that he'd been cleaning up forever. I'd been around it my whole life. Up until that point, and then he woke me up from a Sunday nap, a 410. All right, this is not it was not a single shot 410, and so it was not a light kicking gun. This thing beat me up. So the first time, he put a can out on a tree, and I still have the vision of this tree. We walked out in the pasture. He put a can up on the tree, and he was like, "All right, hit that." And I'm all jacked up. I'm ready to go, and so he puts the can up there, and all right, so I take aim. I'm sitting there looking down the sights, and I'm having to stretch out from the sights because I was a little guy growing up, and I was trying to find it. Man, I pulled that trigger and knocked me on my butt. I was like, holy crap! That thing barked. So he's like, all right, next shot, and he's very intently watching downrange, making sure I do it safe, and so I was like, well, he's looking over there, that hurt. So I do my best, I guess whatever movie you want to call it. I can't even think of it right now, but boy, I put that thing on my hip, and I was like, I'm gonna hit this thing from the hip, because I've seen it done in movies.
That's how it always works in real life.
Yeah, that didn't work out. I shot, and oh my gosh, it was brutal. My hip hurt after that, which is fine, but it was bad. It was harsh. But no, that was kind of my first really, I guess that was my first kind of big introduction to, it's just, man, it really did shock me. But that was my first kind of introduction to like guns and hard kicking guns.
I say you didn't quit after that, so that's good.
I didn't quit. And that's a funny thing, like, because you look at like how we kind of grew up. I wouldn't say we were like all about guns, and my dad educated me really well on guns and gun safety. And I think that's really what I feel like my time around guns in my family was all about, was safety. What was yours kind of?
Yeah, so while my father did give me my first gun, that probably wasn't until it was his old Winchester 22, but that probably wasn't until I was 18. So
right.
We weren't shooting at home. We weren't, talking safety like that. So all my gun safety exposure did come from Boy Scouts, or maybe shooting with some other guys, some other, of my friends' parents or something like that. But still always very positive.
Good on your,
I don't, there's no detraction.
But good on your parents for like allowing you to go like shoot with your other, other people. I mean, because that nowadays you look at it and that's not going to happen. Like there's not going to be too many people who are going to allow. And even though they may know what I do, I don't know many parents that would allow their kids to go with me. And I guess it's just the culture we grew up in. Yeah,
I think a little different. And I think they knew I had a genuine interest in it. I mean, I started small with Nerf guns and quickly graduated to paintball and other things like that, playing paintball in middle school and high school. So they knew my interest was there. So they weren't.
And my parents
always helping out.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, I'm going to share this story. This is, okay, for all you parents out there, don't let your kids do this. And now that I look back on it, like my parents, I don't remember getting scolded for it. Man, they should have beat my butt, like for what I did. We were out in the country and we were just country kids. And so, those little Crossman BB guns that they have?
Absolutely.
So we had one of those. We had a Red Ryder that had been abused. Like it was, when you could probably catch the BB coming out, like if you put your two fingers at the end of the barrel. So not a lot of power. And then we had another BB gun that we could only pump it 6 times. Like at 7, it started to hurt. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
And so
who can take the
oh no, we had wars with them. I mean, there was a hard and fast rule that you had to shoot. That you had to shoot midsection or legs. Like that was it. Like below the waist. Like the waistline and mid thigh were off limits, but everything else was open.
Early days airsoft there.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what I guess that's what we were thinking. But my gosh, I should have been beat to death by doing that. And we didn't have safety glasses.
I'm sure I mean, didn't.
There's no way.
As you said, things that probably don't happen today that.
Oh,
that was only 20 years ago. Well,
I bet it happens. 20 years ago, man. How young do you think I am? Jeez, I got too much gray going on here. But no, it was definitely a different time, and I sit here and I say, wow, man, they really taught me a lot about safety growing up in my family. And now that I think about that story, I wasn't very safe at all.
You survived it.
I survived it, and I grew to be a smarter parent, because you never want your most times, I guess you don't want your kids to follow in your footsteps in some aspects, and that was definitely one of them. But my gosh, like how dumb could you be? Like, that's ridiculous. That's dumb. Don't do that. Like, if you're a kid and you're listening to this, don't do that. That's just stupid.
Make sure you wear safety glasses.
Okay. Wait, hey, hold it. Yes, if you're going to do it, no, wear safety glasses. But so, okay, so we'll skip ahead and we'll kind of come into like kind of how you came into the firearms industry, because I know for the guys listening and the gals listening over the airwaves and over our social media outlets, the gun community actually it's very small. This isn't like a very, very robust industry where you can get in and out and all that good stuff. It's fairly small, tight-knit community. How'd you come into the firearms industry?
Yeah, you could say that. And even within the companies, there's not that many people working at the higher level. It's
Right.
it's fairly flat organizations, and it's helpful obviously to know people that are in there. But no, I mean, my personal story is after college, I served 9 years in the infantry in the Army.
Okay.
Mostly with the 10th Mountain Division. Obviously, working with different types of guns that I'm working with now.
A wide range. Wide range.
A wide range. Yep. I did. In undergrad, I started a sportsman's club out in rural Pennsylvania. So my roommate and I started a club where we go to the local skeet clubs and take other students out. This is where you used to be able to keep firearms like on campus. I'm sure.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 37 now.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah,
So you're still younger than me, but I remember same thing.
Yeah, but we'd be able to, use school funds, go to Walmart, pick up a couple hundred rounds of 12 gauge and go out and teach kids, teach fellow students that never shot before how to shoot. And I took a lot of, I really enjoyed that. So that kind of led into partly my, desire to work in the firearms industry. After the military, got out, did a little more schooling, and I think I was just hanging out with someone one night, and they're like, their recommendation was go into business, into something that you enjoy the end product. And by far the first thing I thought of was the firearms industry. So I didn't know exactly where that would lead me in the firearms industry, but luckily there's a lot of good, a lot of veterans in the firearms community, so that helped me get to Ruger. And a few other folks that helped guide me there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
we're gonna hop in here. We're gonna take a real quick break, but on the backside of this break, I kind of want to hear a couple stories because you said you introduced some new students to firearms. I kind of want to get an idea of what that's like to teach someone who's never experienced that before.
Absolutely.
But we're gonna take a few breaks and hear from our sponsors.
Remington's Golden Saber Defense is based on the same platform trusted by law enforcement, now available for personal defense. This is a really good bullet. It's loaded with the brass-jacketed hollow point for massive expansion, deep penetration, ultimate stopping power. It's nickel-plated. The cases are nickel-plated, which helps resist corrosion, and it actually helps cycling in your semi-automatic guns. It's available on most of the popular pistol and revolver calibers, including 10 millimeter. Check them out, Remington.com. Also, Franklin Armory. They're your trusted source for binary trigger systems. They also make quality firearms and much more. The binary trigger system is pretty cool. Pull the trigger, the gun goes bang. Release the trigger, the gun goes bang. It's a fun thing. You can shoot really fast with it, but it also has a special safety, so you don't have to run it in a binary mode. You can actually run it in a regular semi-automatic mode. So check it out. It's a fun thing that you can do to your guns. Shop freedom and innovation at franklinarmory.com. Springfield Armory, the new XDM Elite 4.5-inch OSP handgun in 10 millimeter offers these Elite Series refinements, but with the power of the 10. 16+1 capacity, features the matched enhanced trigger assembly, offers a flat face crisp break, and integral over travel stop. A lot of cool stuff here to help you be a better shooter. Of course, cut for optics, ready for your red dot, springfield-armory.com.
All right, we're back with Graham Rockwell of Ruger, and the smooth tone of my voice indicates that I am not Ryan Gresham. I am actually KJ, and I'm stepping in for him just this week. He will be back. I promise. You're not gonna have too long away from him. But we were talking a little bit about kind of how you came into the firearms industry, and you said you had a really interesting statement that you got to teach new students while you were in college. To firearms. Mm-hmm. So talk me through maybe a couple of instances that might have stood out to you and what it was like to, teach these new students.
Yeah, and you say, how did that happen? So I mean, it was just like any other school club, you go to the club night and you had the outdoor club, the rock climbing club, and then we'd sit there as the, outdoorsman club, as the shooting club. And you would be amazed how many people just came up and were like,
just interested, genuine. Yeah,
I'd say half the people had shot before and were surprised to see that they could continue to shoot at school. Thankfully funded by school funds, stuff like that. And then the other half would be people that had never shot before and were interested. And I'd say over the 3 3 years that I was doing that, it must have taught dozens of people to shoot, mostly clays and things like that.
Right.
Things something
But that's a good
easy
way
to pick up and fun.
Yeah, that's a good way to introduce new shooters. I mean, it's an active setting where they see their end result very quickly. It's not just putting a round on paper or I hit the target. It's an active. It's almost a reactive, because you get that immediate reaction right after the fact that clay breaks and they finally did it after missing a couple times.
Absolutely,
I mean, that's gotta be fun. I mean,
yeah, we got people that pick it up in the first 3 rounds, and some people would take a few extra rounds before they picked it up. But all in all, everybody has a great time. We always had the support. I didn't mention this before, but we always had the support of the local, fishing rod club.
Okay.
They were incredibly helpful with, guiding us in the right direction, making sure we're doing the right thing. And, just that, you could see that they were excited to see the younger shooters coming up and the fact that we were out there. So
I think it's always good to see new shooters out there and young shooters. And it kind of similarly reminds me of like what people have started doing, what you did with the Sportsman's Club, with a lot of like bass clubs around the nation. And how high schools are now having the fishing, clubs and stuff like that. That's kind of how
college level too.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible what those guys are doing, or guys and girls are doing.
Yeah,
on
it's
those bass
insane.
stores.
Yeah, I've got quite a few friends who have, kids in those. But even my nephew, in a little town out in Oklahoma, they have a sporting clays and trap team, in their junior high. And I'm like, man, where was that when I was in school? Like that would have been what I did. I would have much rather done that than sit around on a tennis court, just hitting balls over a net.
We definitely didn't have that I grew up in Massachusetts. There definitely was not a lot of shooting clubs.
Oh gosh,
shooting clubs there, but I was, in Pennsylvania, it was a little more, a little more welcome.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's incredible. Everybody, there's a lot of people that don't have access to that first experience.
Right.
Either they don't know anybody, they don't know where to go, and there's all these programs, local, national, that are just trying to introduce people to the sport, whether it's target shooting or clays or anything. It's just getting people out there for the first time, getting them to experience, just
what you've been
in a safe manner.
Yeah.
How to do things right and how to have a good time doing it.
Yeah, I think that's one of my biggest things is, man, if you can do it in a safe manner, controlled environment. That's why I won't take a lot of new shooters who ask me to like, hey, do you have time to go out on the range? I won't take them to a public range. If I can get access to a private range where I have, access and they can do it in a controlled environment, because we know how public ranges are. Sometimes it's like the Wild West in there.
Some good, some bad.
Oh yeah, there are some good ones. There are some very good ones that do it the right way. But again, man, there's some that are just they're winging it out there. But no, anything else to stand out about the college years of Graham Rockwell?
No, not really. I mean,
no partying. Come on.
There's certainly let's call it a good time. Good balance of academics, sports, and having a good time.
Okay. Well, that's what we need to know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to jump in here with our final break, and when we come back, Ruger has put out some new firearms that Graham has had direct involvement in, and we've got some. If you are listening over the airwaves, now would be a good time to click over to the video portion of it, because we're going to be showing and telling about some guns here. So I'm going to take this real quick break.
Silencer Central delivers your suppressor right to your door with a simple process that ensures you get the best suppressor for what you need it for, and you're going to get it really easily. I know people think getting a suppressor can be difficult or time consuming, but really Silencer Central has kind of streamlined this process. They make it easy, from the online paperwork to help setting up your trust. And of course, with eForums, it's all happening a lot faster. They have a variety of suppressors from 22 all the way up to the big 50. Check it out at silencercentral.com. ATN, they're the future of optics. These are not your regular optics. What we're really talking about is thermal, digital day and night vision systems. It allows you to do more, shoot more in different hours of the day, do different types of hunting, but also kind of gives you the edge, whether you're at the field or on the range. They really use this technology to help you have a more fun experience. You could film your hunts. You can send all kinds of GPS markings and different things like that. Find your optic now along with the monthly promos and deals at atncorp.com. Ballistic Advantage. This is one of those companies that kind of flies under the radar. They manufacture precision quality rifle barrels, uppers, lowers, and other firearm components for a range of users. Their barrels deliver round after round consistently, accurately, with minimal recoil. It's the perfect mix of U.S. craftsmanship and state-of-the-art manufacturing. Check out ballisticadvantage.com for more information.
All right, we're back. I'm your fill-in host, KJ. Ryan will be back, I promise. But we're talking with Graham Rockwell of Ruger. And, man, so the one sitting on there's two guns sitting on this table. There is a lever action and a PC carbine, pistol caliber carbine, backpacker. The one that gets me most excited is the lever action, the model 1895 Trapper. It's chambered in 4570 government. The one thing that stands out to me about all lever guns, I have an intimate tie-in with lever guns because that is what I shot my first deer with. Like iron sights. I didn't know any better. I was just a stupid 14-year-old kid, traipsing around in the woods, and some dumb doe it was not her day.
It was your day.
It was my day that day. But that's kind of my tie-in, and that was the first, the second gun my dad gave to me. So pretty special tie-in. But tell us the reason why you guys started bringing the Model 1895s back.
Yeah, I mean, and for anybody that's listening that's not aware, we did, with Remington dissolving, Ruger did pick up Marlin Firearms, most the assets, machinery, and basically all the designs for all the Marlins. And as you said, that we had a wide selection of guns that we could have brought back first. From 22s to shotguns, we could have done anything, but lever action was really where we wanted to start off. That was listening to our sales folks, the people out in the world, and so we were able to within a year of moving all that equipment from New York and from Alabama, bring it all to Maydan, North Carolina, our facility down there. Not do a major redesign, but absolutely took a look at all the parts, woodworking, from the woodworking to the internals, to the finish. And, within the first year, we were able to produce
that's quick
1895 SBL, and to a higher, to our standard. And for anybody that's able to find those 1895 SBLs or these new 1895 Trappers that are shipping now, we really hope you guys can, enjoy the amount of work that the engineers and the folks on the floor put into bringing these firearms back to life, and we'll obviously continue to bring the Marlin brand,
keep it going. And I think that's what a lot of people hope for when they heard about the acquisition of Marlin, is that, oh man, is it going to be the same old? Are they gonna let it die on the vine? I mean, I think those were a lot of questions, and they're valid questions. I mean, they're valid questions, but I think when you guys said, like, look, our goal is that within a year it's going to be back up and running at full capacity, and you guys have come through with it. I mean, you guys have come through, and I think the Model 1895 is a great way to start.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I think the original question was what's going on with the Trapper.
Well, I do want to know about that. I mean, because this is kind of a show and tell thing right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, man, this is a podcast. You can spitball all you want.
Yes. I mean, it's not totally different than the SBL. Obviously, this is one of the designs that the Remington Marlin did come up with earlier, and it was kind of based on a lot of feedback they had from Alaskan trappers and guides that were looking for something shorter, a little more robust, but still with that 4570 power to take down dangerous, either in self-defense or hunting.
Man, up there, it's all about like, it's a CYA gun up there, man. I mean, the thick brush, because really, I mean, when guides are up there, you got to have something to cut through the brush. And that's where a 4570 definitely comes in handy, I would say. You know, if you're cutting through alders or something like that, oh my gosh. And I'll tell you this much, it's pretty. And I do notice the bullseye, the Marlin bullseye.
A little different. As you might notice, it's no longer blue.
Right.
We've got it as Ruger red, but we wanted to maintain, while we did make some changes, we wanted to maintain the legacy of Marlin. And there's a few things that differentiate it. We, went away from the butt cap here. So that's that's lasered in there. It's roll marked, obviously, made in North Carolina. The serial numbers start with RM.
Okay.
Ruger
Marlin.
or Ruger Marlin.
Okay.
So, if you're out there looking for a Ruger Marlin, you should be able to easily differentiate them from the older.
Well,
Marlins.
but it has whispers of what they used to be, and I mean, you'll maintain that, but you've got to innovate, and you've got to bring them into the Ruger fold.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, some of the basic things we did there were to obviously, we threaded the muzzle. Start at the front there. We threaded the muzzles. Yeah. Most Marlins weren't threaded. We did go to a cold hammer forged barrel.
Okay.
Instead of a broach barrel, and then just a lot of work on the internals to kind of bring it up to modern manufacturing specifications.
And you've got a nice set of Skinner Trapper sights on it, so the laminate stock is beautiful. I love a laminate stock.
Yep, and we make those right in Newport, New Hampshire in our wound shop. Yep. Okay. Yep. So we make them up in Newport and ship them on down to Maida in North Carolina. Oh,
it's a beautiful gun. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't get one. I mean. So I hunt in a lot of thick country. Some areas that it's rough terrain, and I'm not necessarily worrying about a hog charging me or anything like that. But when you're tracking a wounded deer in thick brush, a scoped rifle doesn't do you any good. It just doesn't. You're gonna have to move to something like this as like kind of a brush busting gun.
Yeah, and that's what these Skinner Trapper sights are exactly for. They're for quick target acquisition at close ranges. Yeah. With the the rear peep sight and the large front blade, it really does that job.
It pops for sure, and the nice satin finish, and it's got a large loop. I love that.
Yep, same big loop as the SBL, but as you mentioned, it's got a bead blasted satin finish instead of that high gloss. And most people probably don't want to be dragging their high gloss guns through that
I couldn't imagine.
So this
stressing out every step or every like thistle that brushes up against you. Woo. Yeah. No, thank you. I'll hard pass. Now we're gonna switch over. Another favorite pastime of mine is plinking. And you either, when you were growing up, you did it with a 1022 typically, and it was a takedown. But this one's a little bit different takedown. This is a pistol caliber carbine takedown with a nice Magpul stock on it. So walk us through that one, because it is a backpack gun. This thing breaks down. It's about maybe a little over 6 pounds.
Yeah, 6.2 pounds.
Yep.
For that package.
Yeah, man, you're gonna have to describe this because I'm gonna mess up all the verbiage that you guys use, right?
Yeah, between ours and Magpuls, I think I got it. Yeah, so obviously a little history here for those that have seen them. Magpul's been designing stocks, great looking stocks for Ruger Firearms for a while now, starting with the 1022 series. They had the Hunter and the Takedown backpacker for that. Obviously, this current PC carbine is heavily inspired from that. They also were doing, stocks for our American rifles as well. So we've got a good history going now with Magpul. And, I think once they saw that PC carbine get launched, a little over 4 or 5 years ago, I'm pretty sure they were like, we better do a backpacker for that.
Right.
So,
and I think that's a great little package. I mean, because I can remember, man, walking in the woods and they'd give me either a BB gun or a 22 and say, here, go have fun. And 9mm, you can still do that. Like, it's not out of reach. It's not out of touch to take one of these and go plinking with it. But you guys do offer a 22 backpacker version as well. Is that correct?
The 1022. Yeah, you can buy it. You can buy it straight from us. You can buy it at the store. It's installed at Ruger in New Hampshire. and ships just like that, or you can buy them as an aftermarket and add them to your current 1022.
And you guys did something with the PC carbine that I thought was great when they first came out, and you're able to change out the mag wells and be able to adapt itself to different magazines.
Yep. So right now, obviously we wanted to make it work with Ruger magazines, so it currently works as is from the factory with Security 9 or or SR series mags. But as you said, from the get go, we've included that Glock mag well.
Yeah.
And we know why, because people have drawers full
of them.
Glock mags.
Those big stick mags, we've got those. We got I guess a drum mag would work in here. I don't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah, and it'll take Gen 1's not the best, but Gen 2, Gen 3,
anything kind of up from that.
Yep, those all work great.
See, that's the way to do it. And you know what, this gun comes ready. I mean, you can you can put an optic on it. You can put a red dot on it, which was honestly what a lot of people do. You have an additional cheek riser, a higher cheek riser that you can put in there.
Yep, that comes in the box if you buy the backpacker stock.
Right. I mean, I'm telling you, you need to do it. Get it going. Well, Graham, thanks for joining.
It was a pleasure.
So this was your first podcast, so you can officially check that off your bucket list.
I'm gonna have to tell my buddy that runs a podcast.
Yeah. See, there you go. Well, hold on a second. How come your buddy hasn't?
He's a comic. Different kind of podcast, not a firearms related.
Well, I think you're pretty funny.
I'll be sure to tell him that.
Yeah. Hey, what's his name?
Bada is what we call him.
Okay. Hey, Bada, get him on the podcast. Don't waste time. Just do it. He's funny. I promise. You'll be entertained. Graham, thank you for joining us, man.
I appreciate it.
All right, guys, that's it for this week's Gun Talk Nation. Make sure you tune in next week, and hopefully you'll hear the whisperings of Ryan Gresham.